There are no shortage of monosynths in the world today, and I want to discuss my favorite of all time, Roland's SH-101, and I'm going to tell you why I think it's the best ever made. Here we go. Hello Internet, Chris Cline here with Alma Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. And today we're going to talk about the SH-101. Now I know that there's been some other videos on our channel about the SH-101 already, but this really holds a near and dear place in my heart because I do honestly think that this is the greatest mono synth ever made. It was originally manufactured from 1982 to 1986. And it was eventually shut down because of the popularity of the DX7. Two very different beasts, but at the time, digital synthesis was becoming a little more popular, FM synthesis. You could save more of your parameters, a little more functionality, but as far as sound and functionality in a mono synth is concerned, this is really, really hard to beat. I have an OG Mini Moog at home. It's actually number 37 of the thousands that were made, so it's one of the original Mini Moogs. It has the original oscillator and filter set. It's an RA Mini Moog on the badge. It sounds amazing, but it's not as flexible as this. And so you're probably thinking that I'm being a blasphemer at this point, like how can you talk down a Mini Moog? I'm not doing that. I'm saying that this right here, for me, offers far more bang for the buck because of what it can actually do. Many things of which a Mini Moog can't do. Or other monosynths, a Pro 1, an MS-20, and the list goes on and on and on. This does a little bit of everything and it sounds great. So this is a monosynth. You can only play one note at a time. Now with the Mini Moog, you for all intents and purposes, you do have 3 separate oscillators that you can detune. You can't do that with this. This is a single oscillator synth. You can only play one note at a time. See, I can't even play a minor second. But your oscillator does have 3 different flavors. You have your pulse or your square, your sawtooth, as well as a sub-oscillator, which really adds a lot of heft down to the lower register. This also has a sequencer on board, an arpeggiator. You can actually patch out of this. You have your CV CV and gate in and out. So you can actually interface this with your modular setup. It does conform to the 1 volt per octave specification. And then you have an external clock in as well as a hold pedal or your sustain. So there's so much you can do with this. It also has your noise circuit. So you can incorporate white noise. So if you're trying to get a little more of a grainy or a lo-fi sound, or maybe create more percussive type sounds, you can do that with this as well. You have your frequency cutoff. You turn the resonance all the way down, right? So it is a 4-pole or 24 dB per octave filter, right? Low pass filter. We turn the resonance up. It really will start to squeal, right? It starts to self-oscillate. So it's a very, very powerful, very musical, beautiful filter. You can add your LFO to the filter. You have your keyboard tracking or your keyboard fader here, which actually allows you to finesse what's happening with your voltage controlled filter as well. And then for your VCA and your envelope, your voltage controlled attenuator, you can use the envelope itself or you can have it be controlled by a gate. It's so incredibly flexible. And that's why I love this. Down here you have your pitch bend, and I don't think I have it set to anything right now. So you can get really, really extreme with it, and you can also have it manipulate your filter. And there we go. Sorry, I need to reset my settings. So you can actually hear what's happening to the resonance in the filter as I tweak it. Again, super flexible. We trimmed the portamento. Yes. And now you're starting to bend notes even more. One thing that we don't have with this particular unit here is the modulation grip, which will allow you to take control of your pitch bend, right? But in keytar form, which is a lot of fun. Some people think it's cheesy. I think keytards are really, really cool. So it's highly, highly flexible. So let's go ahead and get a little more of a proper demonstration happening with this. Just give us a second. We're going to reset, and then we'll be right back. So here we are with what I consider to be the greatest mono synth of all time. And why is that? Because of the layout, its flexibility, it has a sequencer, an arpeggiator. It's even, if you think about it, quasi-modular in that we can come in and out of the gates and we can connect to other devices, especially in our modular world, if they conform to the 1 volt per octave standard, which is, well, pretty standard at this point. So let's start off with the oscillator and talk about that. So the oscillator on the SH-101 actually comes in 3 different flavors. We have our square or pulse, sawtooth, our sub-oscillator, and then here's our curveball, the noise circuit. Doesn't that sound great? You can actually get some percussive elements out of this as well. So the pulse or square wave, it sounds like, well, what you would think it would sound like. Right? And we can adjust the range as well. And we can transpose over here as well. So we can go pretty low. Now let's listen to the sawtooth. And again, it's going to sound like what you would think a sawtooth would sound like. It's a little more buzzy, where our pulse or square wave has a little more of a hollow sound to it, maybe mimicking that of some woodwinds, where our sawtooth has a little more grind and buzz to it. We can, maybe get some more growly bass sounds out of it. It's really quite unlimited what you can get out of the SH-101. Now, when we have our pulse wave engaged in the mixer or turned up, we can actually change the width as well, right? Which I like to call the lightsaber effect. I'll show you. Now, to add more variation to our pulse width when we're using the square or pulse waveform, we can actually modulate it. So now we're actually modulating the width and the pitch. And let's turn this down so we're not modulating the pitch so much. And now you can actually hear the pulse width change over time. It almost sounds kind of chorusy. It's a very cool effect. We turned up high enough, and we're almost in FM territory. Pretty darn cool. Now let's bring this back down. Let's incorporate the sub-oscillator. I'll turn it up. And now I'm playing Subdivisions by Rush for some reason. So now we're incorporating the sub-oscillator 1 octave down. Let's do 2 octaves down. You can actually hear it, the separation. And if we do it one more, there's actually another setting for 2 octaves down, which just changes the pulse width of the sub-oscillator itself. And to be clear, the sub-oscillator on here is actually a square wave or a pulse wave. It gets to be really, really nice and really, really thick. I kind of prefer it 1 octave down, especially since we're already all the way down in our range and our transposition. So we really can't get much lower on our SH-101 at this point. So let's move over to the VCF, which is our voltage controlled frequency. So right now I have the resonance turned all the way down. Now I think that most of us probably understand what a resonant filter is, where we have a peak at the top of the filter which causes certain harmonics to resonate. Now again, I have it turned all the way down. So if I turn down the filter, this is a 4-pole filter or 24 dB per octave. It is a low-pass filter. You will hear it respond pretty quickly. really, really nice. It's one of my favorite filters in the whole world. It just sounds so pretty and it's so musical. Let's bring it back up. Let's turn our resonance up and let's hear what happens as we start to bring our filter back. Oof, that low end is so amazing. So as you can see, the filter is really flexible, really beautiful, and oh, what happens with the LFO? So now we're modulating the filter as well. So now we're modulating the pulse width, the filter, let's turn it down. And let's incorporate the sawtooth. Very flexible. So now that we've looked at the modulation, the LFO, the VCO, the source mixer, the VCF, let's go to the VCA, and we're going to keep it set to envelope right now. We're not going to set it to gate. We're not going to set it to LFO or gate over here. We're going to have the envelope itself, the VCA, the ADSR, is going to be controlled by whenever we strike the keyboard, right? Which is basically activating the gate, right? So let's go ahead and bring this all the way up, our frequency. So it's wide open. We still have a little bit of this pulse width modulation happening. So now let's go ahead and bring our attack up. Let's bring our sustain and release down. Let's bring our decay all the way down. And I like this effect because it almost sounds like it's being played in reverse, the way it swells up. Now let's bring our attack all the way down, and let's bring our decay up a little bit. So the attack is how long it takes for the note to open all the way up, right? So if we bring the attack all the way down, all we hear is a little pop. It's kind of like you're hearing the gate open up. Let's turn the attack up, right? Because decay, sustain, and release are all the way down. Once the attack goes to its fullest voltage, if you will, it immediately shuts off. But if we bring the decay up, you will notice that there is a decay time associated with it, right? So the further down we bring our decay time, the quicker the note comes to an end after the attack is fully realized. So let's bring it all the way down. See, it turns completely off. Bring it up, one more. And the sustain is how loud the note is going to sustain after the decay circuit has termed, if you will. See, now it's sustaining, right? If I let go of the key, then it turns off. If we bring up the release, it's how long it takes for the note to go away after I let go of the key. So that's with the decay all the way down. So it decays instantly, and then you hear the level of the sustain, and then the release. Let's go ahead and turn the release all the way down. If I let go, it's going to stop. Again, super flexible. So let's dial in a bass tone. Let's turn on the arpeggiator. So we will do up. We're also going to hold it. And now the arpeggiator, the speed is going to be governed by our LFO clock rate. Now, once again, this is also manipulating what's happening to our pulse width. So as we turn this up, the pulse width is going to change. Now, if we turn this down, it's not going to affect the pulse width quite as much, right? So we turn it all the way up and it gets really weird. And now we can start incorporating our filter into the mix. And then the keyboard fader affects how the filter is going to open up across the keyboard. You'll notice it will change as I pull it down. We're going to turn the modulation down. Well, let's leave it here and let's turn it up. See what happens. And it starts to get all kinds of weird. Now we also have different waveforms that we can use for our LFO to modulate different aspects of the keyboard. So here we have a triangle, pulse, random, and noise. So at random, that's what's happening to our pitch, which is a lot of fun. It's like a computer is glitching out from 1972. So much fun, incredibly powerful. We can sync it to older legacy Roland products as well. You can always get some sort of MIDI to CV kit, which will allow you to have more control over the SH-101. Or if you have something that can sync to MIDI that's also going to generate clock, you can do that as well, so you can control at least the arpeggiator and the sequencer via clock, and it's going to lock to your DAW or whatever you happen to be using. Maybe you have an MPC or something like that. Now we can still further modulate different aspects of the keyboard by using the pitch bend. which also can serve as a way to modulate or engage the LFO. And the filter. Now, we've been doing a lot of bassy type sounds, and if we manipulate our range, have a softer attack. Now we can start playing with leads too. Let's go ahead and bring it up a little bit more. And if we turn up our portamento, then we can glide. So, let me turn off the arpeggiator. Think Lucky Man by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I know I'm dating myself. And he used a big modular Moog, but we could get some of those same sounds on this as well, and it's not going to set you back $40,000. So, once again, the flexibility of this monosynth it's absolutely enormous and limitless as far as I'm concerned. So I hope that at some point you get your hands on one of these and you get to play with one. Oh, and then we also have the sequencer too. It's a 100-note sequencer. You can transpose the sequence on the fly. So let's do like a very simple, let's do a bass line. Let's do this. Let's turn off the portamento. Okay, so something simple. So let's go ahead and just plug that in. Okay. Let's add some noise into it as well. And we can transpose it by holding down key transpose. Back to our original. Now let's break our bass line by making it sound like it's going through a tape machine, and the wow and flutter is just way too nuts. Disco mode. Once again, 100-note sequencer. You can do a lot with this. And I'm now going to close out this demo, and I'm going to go home and play with mine. So that's it for our discussion on Roland's SH-101. I hope at some point you have a chance to get your hands on a proper OG SH-101 because there's really nothing in the world quite like it, honestly. You can almost even get it to emulate a 303, and with the prices of 303s today, especially if you're producing acid house and dance music, this is a really, really great alternative. It doesn't quite squelch like a 303, but you can get pretty close to it. Now, there are some clones today that exist. Of course, Behringer did theirs. I think they're going to start cloning humans pretty soon. Roland has their boutique version with the ACB, or the analog circuit behavior algorithms built into it. It sounds pretty darn good, but nothing quite captures the essence, the feel, the timbre of a proper analog SH-101. And a lot of the other Roland keyboards from this time share some of the same circuitry, if you will, the same oscillator chipset, the same filter, but they don't sound the same. There's something that's just intrinsically different about the SH-101, and maybe it's something with the way that it's wired inside the signal path. I don't know, but it's just different. It's really, really special. And of course, I'm injecting a lot of bias into this. I love this synthesizer for everything that it can do. And again, I think it's just the most flexible, really probably of all time at this point when we're talking about an analog monophonic synthesizer. So, as always, I want to hear your comments down below. Please, let's keep this conversation rolling. I want to know about your experiences with an SH-101. If you've produced content using an SH-101 and it's really, really upfront, put a link in the comment. Share your music with other people. Let's really get this community built up and sharing our content and what we're doing with music production and creation. We want to hear more from you. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, of course, please do so. We're going to continue pumping this content out so we can build a better, stronger, more healthy music production community. And don't forget about our guitar channel, bass channel, accordion channel, piano channel. We're in San Antonio. Hopefully we'll have a Tex-Mex channel soon and we'll start talking about making enchiladas. Who knows? We're just going to keep these channels flowing. But we really, really want to hear more from you regarding music technology, synthesizers, drum machines, production techniques. We love this stuff so much. We eat, sleep, drink, breathe this stuff. It's always on our mind. So once again, I'm Chris Cline with the Alma Music Center in San Antonio. Be kind to each other. Let's look out for each other. Let's build our communities. Let's keep on creating content. And until next time, just keep on rocking. Talk to you soon. Bye.